Afternoon to all of you. I, Dr. Bhavesh Kumar Thakur, Program Coordinator of FDP on Data Management. I welcome you all in the session 3 of day 3. In this session, resource person Dr. Anita ma'am will join soon and she will deliver the lecture or session on networks data analytics. It is very much related to network analysis, and the data management in network is quite useful and interesting area in which we can if we take benefited from this session. As in this session, ma'am joined the session. I welcome Anita ma'am, Dr. Anita ma'am in this session of this faculty development program on data management. As Director sir also waiting for you, please, Director sir. I request our Director sir if you want something about our resource person, Professor Anita Yadav ma'am.
नमस्कार सर, नमस्कार भावेश जी।
नमस्कार मैम, नमस्कार मैम, नमस्कार।
On behalf of the management of RM Institute of Modern Technology, Institute of Management, RM of Technology, students of our Institute of Professor Anita Yadav ji, professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, in the very old prestigious institute of our country, that was Kotak Institute of Technology, which was later on converted due to its credentials as a Port Butter Technical University. Give a very nice talk. So of that, all the faculty members who have joined this FDP program and presently logged in will be benefited. And this benefit will pass to their and their colleagues. So I request Dr. Bhavesh to go ahead and request
Thank you, sir.
formally Yadav to deliver the talk as per the norms.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Now it is
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your kind words.
now it is
And
yes.
just in my house here, that is, I am passed out from IIT Lucknow from the very first batch. And sir was our mentor and my teacher over there. So that bond I am carrying from that point of time. And after passing out from IIT Lucknow, I joined one of the PSU, that is Indian Telephone Industry in Nani. I worked over there in the industry for 4 years in R&D division. So more or less the work of that industry was in the area of, they used to produce telecom equipments. And basically what we see is that telecom equipments, they are the basis for the networks. So networks, our computer networks, they are based on those telecom networks. we implemented our protocols over that, and we built the computer networks, and we are basically generating data, sharing data, and using that network for various purposes. Okay, so later on, after working 4 years over there, I joined HPTU Kanpur, which was HPTI earlier, and then I did my MTech and PhD simultaneously from UPTU, but during my PhD, my guide was from IIT Kanpur. So there also I did my specialization in networks only. So for the talk itself, I have chosen topic from the network, and I have tried to correlate the two things. That is topic of the
Yes.
topic of this FDP, that is data management,
Yes, ma'am. It is nice one.
and my area.
Thank you, ma'am, for, for your self introduction. We are grateful to
Yeah.
you to join this session. As per protocol, we introduce all the resource person in our session.
Yeah, Bhavini, you asked,
Yes.
but I wanted to introduce myself.
Thank you, ma'am,
So I'm
for introduction. Thank you.
we are trying to correlate the two, that is the data management and this area.
Yes, ma'am. Your slide is visible.
Yeah. So topic of the today's lecture is network data analytics. More on network data analytics.
Ma'am, just one F5 requires full screen presentation.
Yeah. So it is visible. I am audible also, na?
Yes,
It is
yes.
Visible. Slides are
Yeah. Slides are visible.
Okay, I will
but
make-
F5, just press one. Presentation.
okay. I will make it full screen now.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
So topic of lecture is network data analytics. But this lecture I will be starting with the data and its importance. That is to connect data management and the network part, network as such. So data and its importance are just a cursory view, because we all, as of now, we all know what is data and what is the importance. Then data analytics and its types, and then later on more emphasis on network data analytics. And network data analytics is basically achieved, is done basically through real-time network traffic or content, or it can be done through network simulations also, because ultimately the objective of network data analytics is that to optimize the resources that is being used. So optimization of resources is actually, this is one of the very challenging work. And I mean, going crawling at a very lower level in the network, getting awareness about the devices, getting awareness about the connectivity, all through the diverse locations where the actual network is deployed, is very difficult and very challenging. So attempts are made to optimize the resources through network simulations also. So I have tried to I will try to cover here one of the work where the network simulations that can be illustrated, just to show so that the resources, they can be optimized in terms of like the decreasing the latencies, longevity of battery life of mobile devices, and then increasing the throughput, increasing the packet delivery ratio, and other related matrices. Okay, so later on I will be covering more details of all these. So to start with, let's have cursory view on data and its importance, wherein basically the three terms, variable, measurement, and data, they are the interrelated, and these are the very fundamental things that is referred throughout the data analytics as such. Then what is generating so much of data? So basically this will cover the sources of data from where the data is generated, and how data add value to the business and why data is important. So since these three terms, they are very frequently they are used in data as well as in data analytics, and even later on in network data analytics too. So let us have a cursory view on it. So variables are a characteristic of any entity being studied that is capable of taking on different values. And measurement is the process by which the values, they are measured. These values they are nothing but they are data, and these data, they are invariably they are used and stored and being used to access through the variables. So data are recorded measurements. Measurement is basically the phenomena or standard process by which these values, they are generated. Then what is gathering so much of data? So we talk about the sources of data, from where the data is generated, because we are going to take data from anywhere in any form, and ultimately trying to acquire the data and then store data, and later on analyze, and visualize the data, and maybe that later on the actions or the decisions, they are taken accordingly to help the unit or the organization. So data that is generated, usually what is seen is that data is generated by humans, that is through people and people communication, through machines, that is machine to machine, M2M communication, and third category is human machine combined. So human people to people communication, we see that now the social platforms, they have become an integral part of life, like the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Skype, YouTube, and other like the e-commerce sites. What you see that they are generating so much of data. So, and machine to machine is basically there are two. Majorly the two components that is playing main role, that is the RFID tag sensors, and in turn like the IoT devices using various sensors. I mean, they are generating data, and that is like the self-driving car, surveillance camera, videos, like they are deployed in smart city smart city projects that is being deployed in cities. So they are generating huge amount of data. I mean, they are kind of the cameras are used, sensors are used, and they are capturing lots of data, and these data is basically acquired, and they are stored, they are processed, and basically huge amount of data is being generated by these interactions. And then human machine combines all together. That is, if we take case of personal assistants like Siri, Google Assistants, and wearable devices like Fitbit and so smartwatches, like that to generate like these devices, these personal assistants, they basically acquire data from human or people, and then they try using NLP. They try to process the query. They try to process the requirements of the human or people. So thus they are all generating data. So these are the data that is generated. So many sources. So it can be generated anywhere where any information is generated and stored in structured and unstructured format. So how data add value to the business? So once the data is acquired, it is stored. It's supposed to be stored in a data warehouse, and from data warehouse, the data products they are developed. And data products, they are in the form of algorithm solutions for productions, for marketing and sales,
बना लिए
For recommendation engines, like the recommendation engines, if you see the e-commerce sites, they use recommendation engines. Wherein what you find is that whenever we try to see
नया सब्जेक्ट
or whenever we try to purchase any product, at the same time it recommends for other products can be that can also be purchased. So from the viewpoint of marketing or maybe that similar recommendations that is recommended through the recommendation engines, especially in case of e-commerce portals or even the YouTube, so that implements, that has got a recommendation engine implemented in it, that also suggests some similar videos also that can be viewed for the purpose, as well as like in case of similar other applications, they use recommendation engines. And then apart from the development of the data product, the more insight of data that can be also derived from the data. So degree of data insight that can be derived from data. So certain insights can be derived as well as the products can be built up. So like the finance company, they also work on based on certain research papers, based on certain investments and all, they come up with the products time to time, and thus they attract more investments into the schemes, and thus this generates the business value to the system. Now earlier I have talked about data product. Now what this data product is? Data product is nothing but like the self-driving car, Google car, driverless car, and recommendation engine, as well as Google implements. Google has got so many applications. So Google Map, that is another data product. Why these are said to be data product? Because all the requirement derives from the data. All these products, they derive their requirement from the data itself. Like the driverless car, I mean, based upon the P, based upon the C, based upon the inputs provided by the various sensors that is being deployed, it basically automatically drives the car. So similarly, the recommendation engine based upon the choices of the customer, based upon the choices of the persons who is interacting with the e-commerce site, maybe that YouTube site, or maybe that the other like the Netflix and other applications. So based on that, it also recommends the similar kind of product, maybe that similar kind of product, maybe that similar kind of video, if YouTube is being interacted or Netflix is being interacted. Similarly, the Google Map also, what it does is that it based upon the scenario, based upon the certain images and all those kind of inputs, it basically recommends, suggests the best route, as well as where the congestion is there on the route and where the toll booths are falling, or maybe that that is there on the path. So it is, I mean, giving all such information. Even apart from this, there are certain more data products that is indirectly, meanwhile, working on some of the projects of like the fighter planes, like in the defense area also. What I have found is that they also deploy this kind of setup, like the tanks, like the T-90 tank. That is also fully equipped with all sensors, all sort of sensors, like the wind sensor, tilt sensor, and then they have night imaging units, and all those kind of things. So I try to get basically the environmental conditions, temperatures, environmental conditions, then tilt, orientation and everything, and the site. And then based upon all those inputs are fed to the ballistic computer, and then thus the target is tracked, and basically the next sequence of action that takes place. So even the fighter planes also, they deploy a network of sensors, and that tells about, that guides about each and everything about the target, you can say, or you can say the enemy, the bunker, the places where they very clearly come to know the position of those targets, and then they can take further action for the bombarding of those or destruction of those bunkers. So that is why we see that we find that the deployment of or use of these data products that has found its usefulness in the concept. Now, why data is important? So data helps him make better decision. Why it is said so? Data helps in making a better decision is that though intuitively it can be analyzed, it can be intuitively analytics can be done, and then intuitively, without data, even intuitively the decisions can be made. But once we have data, so it gives more insight and it gives better decisions. So that is why data is more important. So based upon the data, concluding certain decisions, that always give the better decision in place of intuitively determination. So data will come by finding the reason for underperformance. Now, when if one has got data, so it can be very easily, the reason for finding the underperformance can be very easily, that can be concluded. So data helps one to evaluate the performance. Once we have data, performance evaluation can be done. Performance evaluation of any organization, any system, or anything that can be done. Even later on, based upon certain data, we will also try to evaluate the performance of the network. So data helps one to improve the processes. So, and data helps one understand consumer and the market. So in case of any problem, if data is there, then the process that can be even improved based upon the data, previous data. Now next is data analytics. So after having a cursory view on the data, next is data analytics and its type. So that's starting with the data analytics, why analytics is important, and types of data analytics. Now data analytics, on broadly it is defined and said to be a scientific process of transforming data insights for making better decisions. Now, in a more elaborate form, the scientific process, it says it is use of information technology, it is use of the statistical analysis, quantitative methods, mathematical methods, or computer-based models. They can be used, and that it will help managers to gain improved insight about the business operations and make better decisions. So it is indicating that these many things internally they can be used for the analysis of, for the analytics of the data. Now there is a difference between analytics and analysis. Analysis, normally what we do is that on the past data just to know that why it has happened, and analytics is about the future of that model, about the future of that thing. That is by using predictions and all those kind of things based upon the previous data. The predictions can be done or made. So based on that, using machine learning technique, or maybe that using statistical techniques, or maybe that other computer models. So if those things if we are able to predict about it's better performance, better behavior, then it is said to be analytics.
यहाँ से भी काम कर सकते
So this was give definition was given by Professor James Evans. So data analytics is also said to be the science of analyzing. I mean, different words are put in. I mean, ultimately, they give the same meaning. So it's science of analyzing raw data using statistics, machine learning techniques
हैं कौन चूज
with the purpose of drawing conclusions about the information. And many of the techniques processes of data analytics have been automated into mechanical processes and algorithms that work over raw data. So basically, mechanical processes, what it says is that about the products. That is what we have seen is that driverless car or self-driving cars, robots in the factories, or maybe that just what I have read is that even the smart city project that also uses data analytics and also closely seen involved in the smart city of Kanpur as well as Jhansi. So in Kanpur smart city is at advanced level, what I have seen is that they use data analytics. So I'm sitting at their control room, which is called as a CCC. Integrated command and control center, what we call it, and they have very big, very huge capacity data center, which stores the big data, the unstructured data you can say, or structured data you can say, that is generated from PAN city across the city, wherein basically the various video cameras they are deployed. So I mean, surveillance is basically done, surveillance of any places at any chowka, they are done, crossroads are at the major places, and they are using intelligent traffic management system, that is in short is called as ITMS, which in turn implements adaptive ATCS, adaptive traffic control system, apart from speed violations, red light violations, and all this kind of, they have so many applications. So, I mean, they are deploying, I mean, from the ICC center, what we are able to assess that how many of the devices, how many, I mean, the endpoints they are down for at any point of time. So they are doing data analytics as well as they are doing the network data analytics. So why analytics is important? I mean, this gives abundant opportunity for the use of analytics and big data, such as determining credit risk, developing new medicines, like in the e-healthcare or healthcare systems. It can be deployed, it can be used, it has got a good future. Finding more efficient ways to deliver products and services. Now, since I mean, most of the people, most of the persons, they are connected using the networks, using the mobile phones, mobile networks or cellular networks. So, I mean, once any, I mean, it is found that it is more efficient way to deliver the products and service, and then preventing fraud, like the based upon the previous data or how what in the banking system. Basically, this is applied. So when data analytics is applied to the banking field, now the frauds that can be very easy. Because we are going to maintain the logs and everything. The data is being, the past data is basically recorded. So, and based upon the past data, the frauds they can be detected and thus they can be prevented also. Now uncovering the cyber threats also and retaining to most valuable customer. So consider any organization is there if one is able, based upon the previous data, if it is the one is able to find valuable customers, non-valuable customers. So valuable customers, they can pay more attention and thus the business can be grown. So the analytics is going to help in these directions. Now coming to the classification of data analytics. So based upon the workflow, based upon the type of work and the kind of analysis required, there are 4 major types of data analytics. Descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. So shown on the scale of, in this figure, on the scale of value, what it returns and the difficulty in implementation. So the difficulty of in implementation, or the most simplest, is the descriptive analytics, and it answers to the question, what has happened? So based upon the data, if analytics has to answer, or if this answers what has happened. So the reason can be found with the descriptive analytics. Why did it happen? So diagnostic analytics that covers about what it happens, like the doctor diagnoses that the patient has been suffering from this particular disease. So based upon the certain observations and the question and the body to the or the reason to the the problem that can be answered through this sort of analytics. And then the predictive analytics will tell about what will happen. So difficulty level is going to increase and basically adds more value to the system. So what will happen is done through predictive analytics. Like we try to project the future data or future information based upon this, based upon the previous data. And prescriptive analytics is that this answers. This is the last class of data analytics. How we can make it happen, like suppose we want to optimize certain process or the data or something of that kind. So that is done prescriptive. That is done under prescriptive analytics. Elaboration on this descriptive analytics. What happened is the conventional form of business intelligence and data analysis. It seeks to provide a depiction or a summary view of the facts and figures in an understandable format. This either inform or prepare a data for further analysis. Descriptive analysis can or statistics can summarize raw data. So under descriptive analytics, summary of raw data is presented, and summary of raw data is presented. It is converted into form and it is presented in a form so that it can be understood by the persons or people. So they can describe in detail about an event that has occurred in past. So a summary, a kind of a view is presented in descriptive analytics. So common example of descriptive analytics are company reports that simply, so these are the examples to present the descriptive analytics. That is, the data queries, reports are presented, data visualization, and with the help of data dashboard. Now, diagnostic analytics is a form of advanced analytics which examines data or content to answer a question, why did it happen? So reason is attempted to find as a effect of diagnostic analytics. So why did it happen? Diagnostic analytical tool aids as analysts to dig deeper into an issue so that they can arrive at a source of problem. So source of problem is basically that is being arrived are concluded after this analysis. So in a structured business environment, tools for both descriptive and diagnostic analytics go parallel. So what and why both are done, and it uses techniques of data discovery, data mining, and correlation among the parameters. Then coming to the predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is what will happen. So in case of a forecast or in case of assessment of future data values, go for predictive analytics. So predictive analytics helps to forecast trend based on the current event. Now suppose a simple example I try to quote here is that suppose a person with a mobile phone, they are moving and they are on the move, maybe they're traveling by train or so. So assessment of when the disconnection occurs or maybe the connection occurs, that is depending upon the trend, whether the person or maybe that the vehicle that is moving out of the coverage area or towards the coverage, more coverage area or better connected area. So something of that sort, wherein basically when this disconnection will happen or when this will disconnect, so what action will be taken also, something of that kind that is taken care under the predictive analytics. Or maybe that even the forecast about like the stock market forecasting in a stock market or the financial market, they normally do this kind of analytics. So predicting the probability of, so that is why they advertise their product. Say they basically attract the investors. Suppose if you are investing this much of money in this product, in this particular scheme, then that will get effect after that much time in that way. So predicting the probability of an event happening in future or estimating the accurate time it will happen can all be determined with the help of predictive analytical models. So even the financial organizations, they too use all these the programming languages like the Python and all, and the analyst employed over there, they do this kind of they do this kind of analysis and analytics, and they produce reports, and based upon that the data products or the say financial schemes they are generated, and that is then the investments are sought for. So many different but four different variables are analyzed to predict a trend. So basically are many independent and independent variables they are used for this type of analysis. So we can see that based upon the historical data, the predictive algorithms they are selected, and based on that the models they are defined. And once the model is defined already, then new data is fit into the model and the predictions they are derived. Example is set of techniques that use model construction from past data to predict the future or certain impact of one variable on another. So linear regression, these techniques they are used for a prediction or forecasting. That is, linear regression is used. Linear and non-linear regressions they are used. Time series analysis and forecasting that may be used, and mining that can be used. Perspective analytics is the last one in the series. So how can we make it happen? So suppose we have to get an optimized result. So set of techniques to indicate the best course of action. So we go for this descriptive analytics. It tells what decision to make to optimize the outcome. The goal of descriptive analytics is to enable quality improvements, service enhancements, cost reductions, and increasing productivity. And these are the tools, the models. I mean, they are the example of which can be used for prescriptive analytics, optimization models, simulation models, and disease analysis that can be used for this. Now, try to bridge and correlate with the topic of the FDP, that is data management. Just a recap is the process that includes acquiring. So basically acquiring of data, storing of data, and then analyzing, protecting, processing of the data to ensure accessibility, reliability, timeliness of data. Now, data management or data analytics in computer networks, that is termed as network data analytics. So here I am going to cover next the network data analytics, especially mobile networks. So network data analytics can be done. Actually, it is done with the real-time network traffic. But it is very difficult and very challenging for each and everyone to have a lookup into the network data, getting the network data and having lookup and then understanding the network data and doing the analytics on this network data with real-time traffic. It's very difficult because I mean the data actually flowing on the in the network, that is in the form of packets. The other way is that the network data analytics that can also be thought of, that can also be done with the network simulations for resource optimization. So in case of any suggestion is there for resource optimization, simulations can be run for that purpose, and the analytics can be done to get more insight into that, and the project can be built up, or even the network components, they can be built up, because ultimately objective is to have a resource optimization. So this is the other way. So now coming to the network data analytics, let's see what is said about it. So network analytics in its simplest definition, in a simplest form, this involves the analysis of network data and statistics to identify trends and patterns. So analysis of network data and getting a network data itself is a very challenging task. But it is, at the same time, it is very useful. I can share with you one of the scenario where like this is very widely used in case of a smart city application. Very important one is that since the smart city application, smart city project that deploys basically a lot of servers, then Pan City network, the network which is laid down in whole of the city, and then servers and clients and running various applications. Now sitting at a central place, it is very useful to get this information centrally. How many of these sites, how many devices at these sites they are up and they are giving responses, they are able to track their responses, they are able to store data, they are able to acquire the data, store data and process data for the purpose of the generation of e-challans and all those kind of things in case of an intelligent traffic management system. And then even the COVID time also they have used some of the things for the purpose of helping citizens in the for the purpose of COVID. that is like in case of any COVID patient is there, then the tracking is done, and then advices they are being flown from advices they are being given from that central place to all those persons, and then information about all those patients and all those kind of things. Those things they are being maintained by this Smart City project. Apart from the other things like maintain a website, also they have mobile applications. They all the day-to-day Nagar Nigam activities that too is being taken through their applications. So analysis of network data, that is come to know about, knowing the status of the devices which are being connected or attached in the network, whether they are up or down. So sitting at a place at a place, one may able to know that, but it is very difficult to acquire that information. So it's a challenging task to acquire the data and have an analysis on the network, then understand the data and have an analysis on that data. So the analysis of network data and statistics to identify trends and patterns. Once identified, operators take the next step of action on it. So next step of action on it, meaning by that, if certain site is down, certain devices are down, then immediately the remedial actions that will be taken, maybe that through the redundant resources, they can be replaced or they can be repaired, so that these applications, they can be up for applications and the setup can be up for the working. Because I mean, there are the penalty clauses also incurred sometimes wherever the network is deployed, the very essential work. So action on this data which typically involves a network operation or set of operations. So network analytics is any process where the network data is collected, analyzed. In simple words, just put in again. So network analytics is any process where network data is collected, analyzed to improve the performance, reliability, and visibility or the security of network. Because even in a pandemic time, this network has played very important role, wherein at least teacher-student fraternity, they're able to continue with their online classes, and like even this program also, we are able to deliver from our own places. So the network has, played very vital role in data sharing or that doing video conferencing and all those kind of things for online classes and everything, along with the devices. So thus, the analytics has got the role to play. But it is, at the same time, it is very challenging and very difficult to acquire the network data, real-time traffic, and then have analytics, have understanding of that data, because the format what you see is that the data is flowing in a level. Actually, not able to see the content. It is flowing in the form of packets and with a certain control messages along with the data messages, or the data packets along with the control packets. So we have to derive, we have to use the network-based, the management system, like the network management systems for that purpose. So it's a challenging task basically to acquire data as well as to understand and analyze out of it, and then so why network analytics? Why it is important? Why it is required? So if you see the reports which is available over the internet, it is said that 1/3 of the network managers, they use 11 or more tools for network monitoring and troubleshooting. incident response is among the top 3 resource intensive activities. I mean the incident response, the resource intensive activity. In case of resource intensive activities, the immediate the resources that need immediate attentions. So these are the reports from McKinsey and Cisco. So especially this content is, I have referred it from Cisco website. Then for 35% of failures, remediation takes 1 to 12 hours. And for 70% of infrastructure failure, time to recover in days rather than in hours. So if you do not have analytics, it is very difficult, but it is time-taking work to come to know that which part is working and not working and which devices are working and not working. So if you have analytics sitting at place, one can very easily find that this device is not working. And then a remedial action can be taken. So it takes long time. So analytics that helps to identify issues, and sometimes even the network issues, they are identified before their failures. And with the built-in analytics, devices are, so if analytics is applied, the devices, they are said to be smarter. And then for network understanding and control, devices and other network components, they can also communicate through cloud. And security is again the issue. Now, path to network analytics, we can say that these are the steps that are followed to build the network analytics. That is, the first of all, the first step is monitoring. So monitoring of each and every component or each and every device in the network. So we can say that all the devices, the visibility of all devices that can be made available through dashboards. So monitoring, the first step is that to do monitoring and then analyze with those connected devices, then troubleshoot in case of any anomaly, any problem. And the fourth step is to go for advanced analytics. Advanced analytics, basically it will be covering all devices. It is not like that if analytics is not, then maybe that it is seen that we show our inclination to some part of network, is that we see some part of it and we don't see the other part. So once this is implemented as a whole, it will provide visibility throughout and all the components, and each and every component that will be covered out. And then later on, the machine learning, they all can be built in. AI and machine learning, they all can be built in to make the devices smart. Now, benefits of network analytics. There are some key benefits of network data analytics is that this includes optimized use of network resources. So it helps to balance and utilize resources in best possible way to optimize network performance at lower cost structures. Meaning by that, optimize use of network resources, meaning by that, the providing the better data rate, maybe that the lower latencies, and so on. Or maybe that inherently, if we are targeting at some of the levels, some of the protocols, some of the layers of the network stack, then maybe that thus the performance also that gets better. So I have in the later part of the lecture, I mainly focused on this optimized use of network resources or optimization, optimize use of network resources or optimizing the network performance. So no new revenue streams. Ultimately, any setup that is meant for money mending. So here also it provides new opportunities for generating revenue, because you see, even any of this social media or any even the web accesses or e-commerce portals also. I mean, what you find is that lots of advertisements, they are being rolled out. I mean, we don't follow the conventional way of rolling out advertisements and marketing of the products of that conventional way, putting hoardings and all those kind of doing person to person, or maybe that door to door advertisements also. I mean, those things, they are more or less converted towards, because most of the persons, they are connected through these social networks, social media platforms. I mean, it has become our part of daily life. So all those advertisements, what you find is that most of the advertisements, they are basically coming through that, or even if you are doing the web access kind of thing. So that also, even from like the e-commerce portals, they also try to acquire the information about the device, or maybe the phone, or the user who is accessing that e-commerce site. So at the whenever any user interacts with any e-commerce site, there also the service, the e-commerce service and e-commerce persons, they are basically recording the person's detail, the device details, for the promotion of their own business. Okay. So more revenue streams, they are avenues, they are being generated out of it, sometimes through recommendation engine, the suggest for products, maybe that sometimes, and so on. Or even like just now I briefed, like the smart city portal also, they have laid down the infrastructure in terms of ICC data centers and density network, and they are deploying so many applications. Many applications. So just to build revenue out of it. So any of these applications, what you find, they cost around normally 50 to 100 crores in the order of that. So they are generating business from the government by just implementing, adding one more more application on the same infrastructure. So some of the applications that are being deployed is that they do video surveillance. They have deployed an ITMS system, that is intelligent traffic management system, and inherently it has got so many components in it. That is ATCS, that is adaptive traffic control system. Then speed violation, then red light violation. Applications are there. We have variable message boards, which normally you see that is being displayed at very prominent or important places. Then IP telephony is there. Then they have video conferencing, and they're supposed to provide Wi-Fi connectivity to the users and on the charge basis. So these are basically the revenue generation ways using the infrastructure. So smart parking, then environmental sensors, they are being deployed, then GIS is employed, and similarly the other applications. So, and accelerate the time to market. So, analytics can help make capacity planning easier for businesses and resources required for new expanded services that can be calculated and then provisioned well in advance of going live, ensuring products get to market on time. So these are some more benefits with the intelligent network. Analytics can be used to do several tasks for spotting bottlenecks, like in case of a congestion or like the traffic that can be done to the route in the network speed. Evaluating the health of devices, then about the remediation and everything. Identifying the endpoints, then peers inside the traffic, then whether the endpoints they are down, mention security issues. I mean, through network analytics, they all can be the comprehensive view can be gained at a point. So, how to successfully implement network analytics? So, with the proper network analytics tool, and it should have full network visibility. It means that there should not be any inclination or skewedness towards a particular area. Have a holistic view of the network. But as such, it is very challenging. And network analytics basically collects data from variety of sources, including from the servers such as DSCP server, Active Directory, DNS, SNMP, traceroute, netflow, and deep packet inspection, and sometimes some application of kind that is kind of any desk or so. They are also useful. Now, how to carry out network data analytics? So, in order to carry out network data analytics, we basically need a powerful and flexible computing software. Powerful and flexible software. So, and these softwares, what will happen is that they are proprietary and they can be very expensive. So, a second thought that can be given to, or a thought may be given to the simulator software, that is NS2, which is an open source software available free of cost, and it is easy to use also. So it can be used for different types of analysis as well as for the visualization purpose. Graphs and charts, they can be generated using GNU plot, maybe that the other software like the MATLAB and Excel and all those, and present the network data analytics.
Well known है मतलब मुनीश चंद त्रिवेदी के स्टूडेंट हैं ग्लोबल
viewpoint.
आरएस यादव स्टूडेंट नहीं है लेकिन वेल नोन है राजीव मिश्रा भी अपने मतलब
So coming to the second part.
एक सिंह भी स्टूडेंट है ना एक सिंह तो बोले रोजी
So far the conceptual views about conceptual view of theoretical view of that is data analytics and data analytics been covered so far. Now I to connect between two, that is whether we are able to do, whether we may be able to do something on our own to get a the view of get insights in the network, get more insight into the network. So I have tried to connect this with one of the work that is being carried out by me in my time. Try to find the improve the performance, that is with link protection and power control in ad hoc networks. And interconnectively, invariably, we can use the wireless sensor networks here also for the purpose. But for the timing, I have considered the mobile ad hoc networks. So I have tried 10 insights from net. And what we can say that analytics is applied, that is especially the third type, which I said is that predictive analytics is applied using nonlinear regression to improve the performance of the ad hoc networks. So mainly this work is focused mainly at the network layer and at the MAC layer, and especially it is generating and acquiring some data from the physical layer. So 3 layers they are actually involved in this achievement of improving performance. Performance improvement is done basically with the viewpoint of optimization of the resources that I will tell later on. So this is just the definition of ad hoc network. Mobile ad hoc network is a collection of wireless mobile hosts forming a network without the need of any established. So this is an infrastructure less network, and here the nodes itself they act as the router as well as the node. So route between the nodes may contain, so it's a multi-hop network basically. So route between the nodes may contain multiple hops. So basically from source to destination there can be multiple hops, multiple intermediate nodes. So wireless ad hoc networks, they are characterized by lack of infrastructure node, and at the same time the nodes are also free to move while communicating, and as the nodes are free, so they organize themselves in an arbitrary fashion. So these are some of the features. Dynamic topology, nodes are free to move. Bandwidth constraint and variable capacity links. Basically the wireless network is used, wireless communication is used. So realized throughput of wireless communication is often less. As reduce maximum transmission rate because of the multiple access and fading noise and interference conditions. This is multiple hop in nature, and then at the same time energy constraint operations, because the nodes they rely on battery or other exhaustible means for their energy, and further they are distinguished by infrastructure less. So these are the some of the applications where the ad hoc networks, maybe the wireless sensor network, they can be deployed. Like I have seen very closely that it is being deployed in defense area, especially at the borders, or like the T-90 tank and this fighter planes, MiG, or they deploy sensors a lot, and they get all the environmental conditions, orientations, stills, or that, and a side view about the target, everything they are getting from these, you can say from the sensors as well as from the camera and breathing, they are getting sites, and then based on that, the target is tracked and destroyed with ammunitions. So it can be used for personal communications using cell phones. The arbitrary network that can be laid down. Then group communication, such as communication data. Now these are some of the issues and challenges that in these networks. There is a lack of centralized entity. Network topology changes frequently, predictably. Routing and mobility management, channel access, bandwidth availability, hidden and post node problem is observed. lack of symmetrical links are there, and physical security is limited. Wireless, as the transmission is wireless, then security has also to be seen. They're affected by high loss rate, can experience higher delays and jitters than fixed network due to this transmission. So here, the latency can be more as compared to the counterpart of the wired transmission or the fixed wired networks. So nodes are also, they rely on limited battery power. So the nodes are battery operated and thus they are power constrained. So energy saving is also one of the very important criteria. So basically what I have tried to achieve here is that try to optimize this battery life, to try to have a longevity in battery so that the battery may be used for the longer time, and then try to get better data rate with the reduced latency, reduced delay. So basically, to work that has been taken up here, that is the one thing is that work on the link prediction. The other one is that power optimization, energy saving, protocol is being implemented just to have a longevity in battery life. So the first problem, which is basically that is targeted to predict the link break. As we see is that mobility is supported in once the mobility is supported in the network, and suppose that nodes they rely on the battery power. So for the energy efficiency, for the better battery life, basically these two they are targeted, and optimization is try to achieve in this direction. So basically, what drawback we have seen is that once the mobility is supported and it is one of the expectation of the users, so mobility that adversely affect the required performance for the application, that causes the frequent route breaks. So availability of any route in future mainly depends upon the availability of links. So a link is basically the smallest entity in any route. So once you consider a route, once you consider any data is to be sent from source to destination all through the intermediate nodes. So basically link is going to be the smallest entity. Link is basically is one connectivity between the two nodes. So links that forms the route. So any link is broken, the route is broken. So link prediction is applied. Link prediction is used to predict the future availability of link, and it is really assessed that when the link is going to break, the route is going to break, so that to avoid that advanced route discovery that takes place. And with that, the path is built up, and again the packets are rerouted through this route. And second problem is related to the power optimization. So motivation of is from from here is that from this picture is that simple network is considered out here. And suppose node 2 is moving away from its own place. So what will happen is that if this is moving away and going out of the transmission range of that node 1, so the link will break. So if suppose any other node is there in the vicinity, maybe that it will find a new route via that. Node mobility. These nodes sometimes move out of the range and link breaks due to node mobility. So if suppose this node 2 is moving out of the transmission range of 1, so this link will get this link breaks here. So this leads to one of the very interesting problem that is said to be the link failure or route breakage. So if the link fails, link breaks, the route also gets break. So thus it is affecting the routing. So what will happen once the route breaks, the packet starts dropping out here. So packet starts dropping out here, then at the predecessor node, it is this node is communicated to find the node is the predecessor node is communicated to find the alternate route, and then again the packets, they will be rerouted through that route. So meanwhile what happens is drop packets, they will be again descend. So that unnecessarily will create retransmissions, will create congestion of that packets in the network. So that will limit to the actual uses of utilization of the channel. So in link prediction and energy conservation, the possibility of improving the performance. So this motivates the need for the protocol to be adapted to the network dynamics and tackle the constraint of limited energy. So these are the some of the related for. So just a second. So link prediction is link prediction module is added in a routing protocol, and its performance is evaluated. So basically in this approach, what has happened is that in this approach it uses basically signal strength based link breakage prediction scheme, and that is added to the routing protocol. Why this is done? Because at the low level, what you find is that at the physical layer level or the physical in physical transmission of signal, there is a signal strength associated with the data packet, and this information is available at the physical layer. So we can we can take that information from the physical signal strength of the packet from the physical layer and pass it to the network layer. And based upon the signal strength, a link breakage prediction module has been added to the routing protocol, and which predicts the future availability of them by predicting the link breakage time. Now, again, it's a prediction. It uses prediction. It is based on the non-linear regression method. Difference. Equation is used for the prediction. And basically what is done is that based upon, the 3 consecutive packets and their signal strength and their time of arrival, that is recorded. So 6 of 3 consecutive packets. So I will be more about later on. So based on this information, if link failure is estimated proactively, response upstream source node about link. So once it is estimated, once this model is estimated, the link so what happens is that it so at a threshold value or at a certain pre-value, a warning is sent to upstream node or source node about the link break,
यहाँ पे क्या रखा
and
है?
either local route repair is attempted around the link break or new route discovery is initiated.
MBA कोड
If first of all attempt is made to do a local route repair. So if the link, particular link is repaired with 2 hops,
ये सो
alternate
तीन ही तो होटल में है
तीन है
link or path,
किसी भी
then the local it will go for local route repair. Otherwise, it will inform source to initiate the route discovery. So prior to link break.
अरे फोन कर
So
दिया
basically, based upon the previous 3 signal strengths recorded at any time,
नहीं
3
किया
times,
जरूरत पड़ेगी तो बोलिएगा तो बात है
the time
अभी
when the link will be broken, that is
वगैरह यूज कर लीजिए कि हाँ पे
estimated, and prior to
के
some
कैलेंडर आप
time,
देखिए हैं
time
बस
set
आप
up that
अंदर है आप कहीं
the upstream are notified for it.
बस हमारी बस एक रिक्वेस्ट है
So the working of this is given by the prediction given by this table that the non-linear regression is used. It will solve
नेट हमारी अपनी जो है मन के शांति रहे
second order equation. The divided difference is computed.
काम कर पाता है
That is 3 packets and their signal strength, they are taken to be P1, P2, P3, and at times T1, T2, T3, and this PR is
बना ले बुला लेते हैं फिर मेल उनको कर
threshold power at which
तुरंत अभी भेज देगा
data can be decoded. PR is the power threshold power up to which the data can be decoded, data packet can be decoded. Beyond this, the data cannot be decoded and link is supposed to be broken. So that in TP is basically determined from the bands. TP is determined that when this link is going to be broken, and just TS second before, that is setup time before, the certain computations that is taking place. And based upon this, TP is estimated. This TP is, this time T is the predicted time, prediction time, when the link is going to be, second order equation is generated in terms of TP. TP is the predicted time and the link is going to be broken. So that is minus B plus minus square root of B square minus 4AC upon 2A. Now, so here is the algorithm. It works like this. For each neighbor in a receipt of a packet, update record of receipt power and time for the last packets, last 3 consecutive packets. If the signal strength of this packets that is in the order of P1, P2 and P3, it means that the newest signal strength of this packet is smaller, that is decreasing. Then prediction, this function will be fired, and the prediction function prediction is like this: that this estimates and updates TP, update TS. TS is setup time that is needed to do the local route repair or to find the alternate path. So before breaking, the path is, the new path or maybe that locally repaired path that is ready. And before breaking that, the traffic that can be rerouted to this new path. So you will not find so no link failure will be found during this, or no packet loss will be observed in the network, and thus that will be basically building up the performance. So when the node enters into critical section, to link break, if the current time is greater than equal to TS, send warning message to upstream nodes, leave for a fixed duration. On receipt of a repair message, set the route and link state soon to be broken. Where it is estimated, it is for the link which is estimated to be soon to be broken, and fire the local route. Now this local route repair, what it says is that, suppose, using this figure, suppose this link is going to be broken. So alternatively, or if there is a path from here to there, or this link is replaced by double links. Double links, it is permitted, otherwise go for new route discovery. So we will try to find the new path. So that is what is written out here in the local route repair. The simulations are performed using network simulator with a certain setting of parameters. Then 3 parameters they are taken, and 2 parameters they are varied. That is the node density and velocity of the network, and the various readings they are measurements or the readings values they are taken, and then that is plotted. So these are the some of the matrices to evaluate the performance of the model. That is the link prediction model. So routing algorithm with without link prediction. So PDR packet delivery ratio is nothing but throughput, and this is average end-to-end delay is basically the latency. So packet delivery ratio is defined as ratio of the data delivered to the destination to those generated by either CBR or TCP sources. So CBR sources as constant bitrate sources are used, and TCP sources are also used. So for operations for both sources, they are being made out here. So higher the PDR, higher the better the performance, and this end-to-end delay should be lesser. So end-to-end delay is that includes of data packet, that includes all possible delays caused by buffering during the route discovery, queuing at interface, transmission delays at MAC layer, propagation and transfer time. Number of route failures are all noted. But wherein if the new route discovery or route is locally repaired, in that case, it is not counted as a route failure, because route is built up. There is no loss of data packet. So where packet drop is done and where packet drop is observed and route is fed, and separately after that the route discovery initiated, so that is counted as a route failure. But where packet drop is not observed and route is built up, so that's not counted as route failure. So new metrics had been introduced here, that is number of route failures and average RTS collisions. And that is being mapped. That is how many packets they are collided. As far as the contention is, when the nodes are contending, how many RTS collisions that takes place at the MAC layer. So these are the some of the results of CBR simulation, constant bitrate simulations. So the routing algorithm is the ODB without link prediction and with link prediction. Both are plotted. Individual values, they are average of 10 simulation runs, approximately 10 to 15 simulation runs. Here it is 10 simulation runs. So what it has been found is that the route failures are lesser in case once link prediction is implemented in routing algorithm. So route failure versus number of nodes, on a x-axis it shows node density, on y-axis it shows the route failure. So internal analytics, internal insights of the network data, that can also be very easily, what I mean to say conveyed here is that internal insights, internal data, those can be seen, monitored out here using the simulator. So here in the next, and it says that number of route failures that is reduced, and it shows an increasing pattern in root failure counts as the node density increases because of the actually node contention, the packet collisions, they are taking place, and that is why the root failures are increasing as you increase the density. So there you find that increasing trend is there in both of these plots. Now next, packet delivery ratio versus node velocity is plotted out here. This is throughput, basically how many packets are delivered out of the generated data. The nodes are moving at the speed, and here then the number of nodes and pause time, that is will be constant. So AODV LP PDR is higher, so it achieves better throughput than the conventional one. Average RTS collision is illustrated out here. So average RTS collision, that is less number of RTS is basically this average RTS collision is monitored at MAC layer, that is second layer. So less RTS collisions, they are observed using link predictions, but it is increasing with the increase in velocity, because that is number of failures, they are there as the nodes are moving. So this is end-to-end delay is being observed out here. End-to-end delay at end-to-end delay has basically this is decreased in case of link prediction interest, because retransmissions that is what increase and retransmissions. The energy simulations, that is also done. That is number of, these are the matrices, number of kilobytes of data transferred successfully per second. And this is the base scale is basically the generated data. So AODV LP that outperforms here. Now more data has been successfully delivered to the destination with the more data is delivered with the less energy conservation, with the less with the less energy. Then average consumption use for communication successfully 1 kilobyte of data is here. Basically on an x-axis we are plotting it with the reference to generated data that is being generated at the source, and here we are plotting it with the reference to the node density.
आज का भाई एक्सेस आप दे देते तो वो भी काम करता सिस्टम ही नहीं होता उसको
Then when TCP sources are used, basically TCP sources, it works on a feedback property. So that is here the throughput is lower than in case of a UDP sources or constant bit rate sources. So nodes are varied and velocity of the nodes they are varied. So based on these matrices, they are matrices plotted with the variation in the study has been made for varying the speed, node speed, and varying the node density in the area, deployment of node density in the area. So in summary, we can say that this link prediction predicts link based on receive signal strength of 3 consecutive receive packets and threshold signal strength. So AODV thus can thus proactively initiates repair earlier than the node failure. So it is predicted with the help of past data, with the help of 3 measured data, that is signal strength at times. The time is predicted when the signal strength has to be a threshold value, because within this threshold value, if the signal strength is higher than the threshold value, the packet can be decoded, but beyond the threshold value, the packet cannot be decoded. And prior to that setup time, the new path building or local route repair is initiated so that the transition that takes place smoothly without link failure. So performance of FDV with link prediction has been evaluated and compared FDV using simulations, and it shows that proposed algorithm performs well and results in lower latency and higher throughput. That is due to local and proactive repair processes. So therefore, improvement of quality of service. So basically, here what we start, we employ predictive analytics. We just assess that when the link is going to occur, and we try to basically the better performance. Based on that, we try to get the performance. We try to optimize the resources. So, I mean, the next issue which is taken up, which is try to optimize here, is that battery power. That is implementation of dynamic power control at MAC layer. So dynamic power control is power aware MAC protocol based upon, since RTS CTS data and acknowledgement handshake that takes place at the MAC layer in case of a .11 standards. So this method proposes to give energy savings and improves throughput, and thus it increases the battery life of ad hoc nodes by making cost effective. So this is the classification of MAC protocols, MAC layer protocols. They are classified as contention free, contention based. Contention free TDMA, CDMA, FDMA. Contention based, they are the random access.
अरे मैम ये बताइए थर्ड सेशनल बस लिखना है ना,
and reservation based, Aloha, CSMA, CD.
ऐसे लगता है सिस्टम जो है पनीर की तरह है.
So power MAC protocols. So power saving or energy saving can be done by two ways. The one way is said to be the power management. Other one is said to be the power control. Power management is basically alternate between sleep and wake. So nodes, they have to be, if you see very closely, even your mobile phone that works in any of the four modes, like the active mode, that is, it is ready to receive or transmit, and then active, then and the sleep mode. Sleep mode, it goes black or idle hota hai. It's a bit dim. You see this to be dim, and when it is bright, it is waiting for either to transmit or receive. So either you manage through power management, go in sleep or wake up mode, by that way save energy, or by using very transmission power off, by doing the power control, the energy can be saved. So this figure shows .11 standard, where the RTS, CTS data and acknowledgement that handshake takes place. And the rest of the nodes, there are two ranges. The one is said to be the transmission range, and the other one is said to be carrier sensing range. Carrier sensing range is the double of the transmission range. Within the transmission range, a packet sent from a transmitter to the receiver or a sender to the receiver, that packet can be decodable. And within the carrier sensing range, they can sense the nodes which are there in that carrier sensing range. They can sense that something is going on, but they're not able to decode the packet. So when the two nodes they are communicating with each other with the help of RTS, CTS handshake. So rest of the nodes in the transmission node zone and carrier sensing zone, they will set their NAV
हाँ तो 5 मिनट
for this much of time. NAV of RTS, NAV of CTS.
हो जाएगा 5 मिनट बाद
And then after that much time, after that time, they will start contending for the channel. So they will defer their access during the network allocation vector time and will go in back of mode. So these are some of the related work.
वो ज्यादा engage ना करिए
So dynamic power control
Okay, thank you.
protocol, what it says is that
What do you
what is observed is that there is always a power associated with every packet. Every packet is transmitted with a power and received with a power. So in a normal .11 standard, what it says is that every packet is set at a maximum power. So what it says, energy efficient algorithm, what it says is that they try to control this transmit power and they try to assess the distance between two. So again, they try to know the distance between two nodes, and depending upon the distance, just sufficient nodes, the packets they are being transmitted, just sufficient power so that they can be decoded at the receiver side. So what is done for that purpose? The power level, the maximum power level is divided into 10 levels. So what this algorithm, these are the following steps of the algorithm. Is divided in the maximum power is divided into 10 levels, and a packet is distance between the two are assessed in the order of, like suppose if the transmission range is of 250 meters, so it will be divided into 10 levels, that is of 25 meters, 50 meters, 75, 100, 125 in the multiple of 25 meters. Okay, now if the distance between two nodes, if the two nodes they are within 25 meters far away from each other, so the power level that is required for the 50 meters, that much transmission power, with that transmission power, the packet is set. So so that the packet can be decodable. So just sufficient power, the packets are sent with the just sufficient power, depending upon their assessed distance between them. So it's a very simple algorithm. It is a 4-step algorithm. Transmitter sends RTS with optimum. This optimum transmit power is calculated. Power level, including the power level in the header of RTS. So one more field is added in every packet, RTS, CTS, data and acknowledgement. They carry along with them transmit power. So at the receiver, the packet is received with the receive power, and this transmit power that is there inbuilt in the packet. So with the two, the transmit, this threshold power is, decodable power is known. So with that, the transmit power for the next packet is computed, and the next packet, that is RTS, is sent with that transmit power, and its transmit power is stored with the packet itself. So the assessment can be made. So these are the expressions given by which PR is with the following things, and the assessment that can be made. So these are the simulations. The simulations. Simulation is done using network simulator with the following setting and parameters. That is, simulation time is taken to be 900 seconds. Total connections they are taken. Packet size is taken, velocity is taken, pause time, fixed pause time is taken, then simulation area is taken to be this much, then total nodes they are taken to be 50. Then these are the matrices.
तो ये नीचे पेन ड्राइव लगा
that is throughput is computed and energy consumed
क्यों गया
in joule for transferring 1 kilobyte of data. So that comes out to be in very small points. So this is number of kilobytes transferred successfully per second out of that generated data in the network, and this shows the power consumption. So throughput is basically increasing, but power consumption is decreasing because we have to control the power. We have tried to save the power every packet and try to send the packet depending upon the actual distance that is being they are depending upon the distance between them. The distance is assessed, and based upon that, the appropriate power the packets they are being sent. So these are more few more matrices are there that are evaluated by varying the node density. So this is energy consumption per 1 kilobyte with the varying node density. Successfully transmitted packets, that is throughput. This is energy conservation, this is throughput. So summary is it is that DPCP protocol transmit packets with optimum transmit power. The optimum power is found based upon reducing carrier sensitivity. So basically, if power is reduced, so transmission range is in a way reduced. So thus the carrier sensing range is also reduced. So once the carrier sensing range is reduced, so more number of nodes they can be parallelly transmit in the network. So thus throughput is increasing. So it yields better throughput and less energy consumption. So these are some of the future work that can be slight variations that can be suggested to get that is suggested to be carried out. So we can conclude here is that by saying that the standard layer 2 and layer 3 protocols, they can be optimized using predictive analytics for resource optimization purpose, and resource optimization is done in terms of, that is, we have better throughput, that is increased packet delivery ratio or throughput, we have better life and decreased latency in the network. So if we have decreased latency, we have we have better throughput, we have better battery life. So this way we have optimized the resources of network as well as we have optimized resources of the node as well. So traditional protocols, they show poor performance and improvements are done in terms of to enter the root maintenance after the root failures using predictive analytics. That is what we have seen is that we have just predicted that when the link is going to be broken, and we have taken proactively the precautionary measure to find the alternate path and route the path. So similar kind of, the analytics, some more analytics that can also be targeted to be done at other layers also. like the TCP can also be taken up for improving, for getting the optimized utilization of resources. And I mean, but more analytics that can be done at other layers also, and even with the help of cross-layer interactions, where normally conventionally what we find is that conventionally the intermediate layers, they are interacting normally. Like the layer 1 interacts, like the physical layer that interacts to the MAC layer interacts with the lower layer and upper layer, that is physical layer and network layer. So here even the non-immediate layers, they can also interact, and thus we can optimize resources and get better insights from the network to get the ultimate objective, achieve the ultimate objective, though it is very difficult to get all these data and do analytics in the scenario. But attempt can be made. So
Okay.
with this, I think I will conclude today's discussion. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your informative and in-depth talk on this network data analytics. We learned a lot from your session. We assure you, ma'am, that this surely enhance our knowledge, domain knowledge. Thank you, ma'am, again, once again, for this session, joining this session. Our directors are.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavesh. You have so nicely arranged. This whole program, I found it to be very informative. I have attended one of the session, and probably if I get time, I will attend. I intend to attend.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So I thank my sir also, Tripathi sir. He has arranged very, good speakers for the program.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So.
Yeah, all renowned and good speakers. They have immense knowledge.
Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday's session I had by chance just attended.
Yes.
So probably I will attend one. Maybe that one more I will try to attend.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you very much, sir, for taking pain.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us, sir, ma'am. Director sir, our director sir also want to say something about this session, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you to everybody.
Sir. Thank you everyone for patience hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Special thanks to Bhavesh ji for taking pain and being engaged full time. That is also available with us full time.
No, ma'am, it is.
So thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All students, all faculty participants and faculty members and participants are requested to kindly fill this attendance through given link in the chat box, as well as the feedback form link given in the chat box. You are requested to fill it because it is necessary and compulsory requirement for the your getting each certificate. So please fill it in mandatory. Today we are just completing our third day session, and in last 2 day session it is a 5-day program, as we already all know. In last 2 day session we will again very senior and renowned resource persons will join the session, and hope you will all join the session in time and earn lot of knowledge from this session. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining this session. Thank you. ठीक